Hello.
Hiya.
Welcome to the Hotline Live with Record Sport. Keith, how's it going?
Not bad. I see you've got the Scott Brown version of my outfit on tonight. Short sleeves.
Listen, in this place, if anyone...
I know, but it's, I mean, come on. It's like on tea for Europe.
Listen, when you're built like a tank, you need to show it off. That's all I'm saying.
No, look, we're matching again. It's not a great look.
I know, that's true. It's like I'm the away kit.
Well, not really, because it's the exact same, just I've got the long sleeve one on.
True, everything good though, aye?
Well, it was until I saw what you did. This?
It's better than, remember last week we both had the sort of...
Safari.
Safari ones.
Yeah, that wasn't good.
If you want to get in
Put me right
touch
off it.
and slag off our wardrobe, that would be great. But if you want to talk about football as well, that'd be even better.
Yeah.
If you want to get involved in the conversation, please do so in the comments and we'll try and read everything out. Best place for us to start, Keith, maybe Celtic.
Yep.
Big game for, I'd say big game. Game for them last night against Sporting Lisbon.
An encouraging performance.
Yep.
That's what you would say. And I think, was it Mick mentioned to us when we had him on from Portugal the other night about Celtic's season began, although pre-season is pre-season, Celtic's season began during the summer last year when they were knocking off big results on their tour, taking major scalps, and it just set the pace, it set the tone, it built some momentum heading into the domestic season. And when it got up and running, they were already flying, Celtic. And that result and performance last night, and yes, I get it is pre-season, and yes, we know that Sporting Lisbon won't be up to full speed yet, maybe a little bit behind Celtic physically. But I watched a bit of the highlights. You know, I don't like watching pre-season games at the best of times. I watched a bit of the highlights, and I tell you what, see Celtic's second goal.
That was a cracker.
What a good goal that
is.
Good goal. And you look at that, and I think Celtic fans should look at that and be quite excited because the speed of it, the way they moved the ball through, and think, you know, the phrase is now through the thirds, the way they passed the ball quickly at pace, with purpose, broke over the halfway line.
Beautiful finish as well.
It wasn't just a beautiful finish, Billy McCown, it was the way he sorted his feet out before the finish was equally impressive to kind of sort of dummy the defender. It was a really impressive goal, and you think, wow, if that's the sort of form and the speed and the pace and the intensity that Celtic, you know, plan to open up the season with, they could blow teams away.
And John, I'm going to say, John, in the comments section, if you want to get involved, please do so. John says Negrin looked a decent player at first sight.
Rave reviews. I mean, obviously, I've not watched the full match there, but from everybody that I've talked to, I think there's quite a bit of excitement about him, isn't there?
Yeah. Aaron says, solid performance from the Scottish champions. Young Dame Murray excelled. Inamura looked the part, but Benjamin Negrin was easily the standout. This one as well from Jimmy says, everyone knows Brendan won't sign an extension to his contract. He took the job as a personal favour to Dermot Desmond and Postecoglou, bailed out. I can't blame him. The Celtic board led by Peter Law was even more unpopular than the Kelly and White gang, and that's saying something. I think
that's a stretch.
That's a bit of a stretch.
This is the people that are running the club right now are the same people that gave you 13 league titles out of the last 14.
The last 14.
I don't think it's really comparable to the Kellys and Whites.
I'd probably agree with that. Plenty of others want. Davey saying McCown looked impressive, but Davey also says, as a Celtic fan, I'm getting a whiff of there's something not right about Brendan's body language.
I'm not going to lie to you.
You agree with that? Eh?
I'm starting to wonder if there is a problem, and I keep saying it, and you know we keep saying it every night now. This situation will either be resolved to the satisfaction of Brendan Rodgers before the end of the transfer window, or it won't. And I think that is then going to shape what the relationship is between Peter and Celtic going for between Brendan and Celtic going forward. Do you know what worries me? I wrote a thing today. Gordon Strachan, some quotes come out. He'd done an interview with a sports betting site or something. And the way things work these days, they get emailed over, and if you want to use them, you can use them and just say you're speaking in an interview with the company. Now, help me out with the name of the company.
I can't remember.
Betting Guide.
Aye, something like that. Betting Guide 365 or something.
BGLO, something like that.
Aye.
Sorry, guys. Anyway, the point being, Gordon Strachan remains really close to the movers and shakers at Celtic. He remains a confidant of Dermot Desmond. He's close to Peter Lowe. And I don't know if you've seen it, but some of the things that Gordon Strachan said actually made me do a double take. I thought, that's quite strong from Gordon.
I agree. It was interesting comments.
Because he was basically saying, look, do you know what? Celtic shouldn't be throwing the kitchen sink at keeping Brendan on an extended contract. I think the phrase that he used was a contract for life. And he then went on to go further than that, kind of doubling down by saying, after you've done 3 years at Celtic, most managers are ready for a change. It's not that you don't love the club's fantastic, but it takes an emotional, physical, mental drain. And after 3 years of it in that high intensity sort of chamber, it's Gordon's belief, and this is what he said in his piece, that it's very often, more often than not, it's time to move on. Time to do something else, to refresh, for a change of scenery, maybe escape the level of intensity and glare and focus that you're under. And I just thought, given that Brendan Rodgers has recently met with Dermot Desmond for discussions, and the two of them were happy to walk away from those discussions without a new contract being agreed, I just thought the timing is really interesting, put it that way. For Gordon to say that and almost float the idea that Brendan Rodgers might not be around beyond the end of this next season, I found it really interesting, fascinating, and I wonder if maybe I might be reading too much into it.
No, I completely agree with you when I read it, and if anyone wants to read the comments...
Bear in mind, Gordon Strachan's own son is in
exactly,
his own Brendan's backroom team.
Exactly. So. It's on Record Sport Online now if you want to read the comments, but I was taken aback by how open he was. That, I mean, he was even saying, you're playing these teams every week. It becomes a bit much.
It's plastic pitches and it's hard to get motivated. Look, I'll tell you what, I had a very similar conversation when Neil Lennon was still Celtic manager. I think first time around, and no one is more passionate about Celtic than Neil Lennon. But we were having a chat one night, and he said that it does get to a point where, and I won't mention any specific clubs, but you know, something away from home on a Tuesday night, and it's raining, and it's December, and it's hard just to keep resetting and remotivating and digging deep to find the drive that made you the same guy that you were 1 year ago, 18 months ago, 2 years ago. So maybe Gordon Strachan is just speaking truthfully and honestly, and you know, his appraisal would be not dissimilar to a guy like Neil Lennon, who has walked in the same shoes. And obviously Brendan Rodgers is in those shoes just now. I find it interesting. We've said since the end of last season, if Brendan Rodgers gets to the end of next season and Celtic have collected 5 successive titles at that point, then I think that Brendan Rodgers wouldn't be human if he didn't start to look beyond where he was at the present and realise what the future could hold. The once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to lead Celtic to 10 in a row, which he walked away from, everybody would have assumed this is once in a lifetime. And he damaged a lot of relationships by making the decision to leave when he did. I think ultimately he lived to regret that decision, which is why he's back this time around. So given all that history and context, if Brendan Rodgers was to get to the end of next season with another title, 10 in a row isn't some far-off, distant fantasy at this point. It's on the horizon. It's far away, but it's on the horizon nevertheless.
No.
Would he walk away from that for a second time? I think he'd only walk away from it if he felt that he was no longer the real driving force, if he felt that his influence was on the wane and that he wasn't sort of driving the club in the manner in which he thinks it needs to be driven, to make it as successful as it possibly can be. And that's where these next few weeks are going to be fascinating, because I keep saying it, Brendan Rodgers gets the financial backing from the board to go and sign 3 or 4 players that he believes makes his first 11 better. Now, they might have to come at a premium cost, the same way they did last summer, with Engels and Adamida and Trusty. And that's going to be an expensive layout if that's the case. And Celtic have already spent a few quid on purchases that look like board investments. And I think Brendan Rodgers has already described, I think, Inamura as a board investment.
Inamura and Yamada, who we'll come to.
So yeah, if he's not getting his way between now and the end of the transfer window, then I think you hunker down. And I think he'll hunker down, and he'll said he's made his commitment, and his commitment was 3 years. And come what may, he'll say about that time, he won't leave before that contract's over. That is 100%. But if he gets to the end of the 3 years, even if a fifth successive title is in the bag, if he feels that he's facing another battle with the board just to try and drive things forward and move things forward, and they don't share the ambition that he has for the team, then I think Gordon Strachan might be proven absolutely correct, and that this might be Brendan Rodgers' last lap.
Yeah. If you want to get involved, please do so. The comments are coming in thick and fast. Charlie Mack says, Rodgers away, Maloney and his intern. Mo says the same. There are some folk thinking Brendan wants to take 10 in a row. Start again. There's some folk saying that Brendan Rodgers wants to stay for 10 in a row. It's the same folk that will stamp their feet if trebles are not delivered. Hoopsaholic says they're not doing a great job in convincing him to stay unless there's a lot of moves being made in the market none of us are aware about.
That's exactly the point. That's exactly my point.
Yeah.
We don't know. We're just going to have to, everybody, Celtic fans, reporters, we're digging about, we're trying to find out, we'd love to. But the bottom line is, all of us are in the same boat in terms of we can only make an assessment and a judgment on what this means to Rodgers' position at Celtic once the window's closed and we're able to reflect on it and look at what how the squad has changed, and maybe see that the manager's fingerprints are on that sign and that sign and that sign, and reach the conclusion that he was able to influence it. He has influenced it. Because if he hasn't been able to influence it, then there's problems. There's no doubt about it in my mind.
Scott says 5 more years after this, it ain't happening. But Paolo says if Rodgers gets the backing, the transfer market improves in Europe and wins 5, he'll be here for 10. And Thomas says as long as Brendan Rodgers is Celtic manager, he will not lose a league title. We may lose a cup, but not the league. And obviously, Rodgers last night talked about transfers, which we should maybe come to because we've got plenty of comments in.
See that last comment there?
Mm-hmm.
That is a little bit complacent. I don't mean the guy that's written it in, right? What I mean is, if that is the attitude in the Celtic boardroom, that would reek of complacency. It's okay, we've got him, we can just throw him some odds and ends and we'll still win the league. Mm-hmm. If that's the attitude, then if I was Brendan Rodgers and that's what I felt was the sort of strategy that was getting played out above me in the boardroom, then I think I would feel it would probably be time to move on as well.
Surely it's not, though. Surely they're too...
I don't think so, and you
and
I have agreed time and time again, Daniel, that we expect the Brendan Rodgers effect signings to be made before this window closes.
Yep.
There does seem to be, and I actually said to you previously, maybe even towards the end of last season, when you were saying, is this good that he starts next season with this uncertainty over his future? And I said, look, Brendan Rodgers will be completely relaxed about it. I think the board will be relaxed. I think you don't sign up on a new long-term deal in June and then by September, October time, the season isn't working out and you're getting heat and everybody's getting heat for you signing the contract. So I thought he'll take a longer kind of term approach to how he's medium future works out, not the short term, but the medium term. And I think one of the first sort of crucial milestones in that will be what the transfer window looks like.
Yeah.
And then how the season starts. But I'll come back to it. If we get to the end of the transfer window and he feels he's been shortchanged by it and the Celtic fans feel shortchanged by it, then that's not a good indicator. Mm-hmm. And I think it would be difficult for Brendan Rodgers then to look forward with confidence to the next transfer window and the one after that, when what he's striving to do is not just stay in front of Rangers. That's not in Brendan Rodgers' mind. That's not what the job is all about here. The job is about taking a Celtic side that's already Scotland's dominant force and well ahead of your nearest rival, but then trying to improve them to a point that you can go to some of the biggest stadiums against some of the biggest clubs in Europe and really give them a game. I don't think Brendan Rodgers, with the best will in the world, even he believes that it's possible to win the Champions League with Celtic. But I think he thinks last season he would have been thoroughly enjoying that experience, and I think he feels if he could just add here, here and here, then wow, we could do that and upgrade it a little bit and maybe even do a little better next season.
He must look at that Rangers team getting to the final of the Europa 3 years ago. If they can get there, think of what Celtic can do.
Yeah, and nobody should look down their nose too much at the Europa League because it's a great competition. And what Rangers achieved by getting to that final and the one previous to that, 2008, these are massive historic moments.
Incredible.
And if you actually flip it, that what happens in the final match and you win a European trophy, there's not a Celtic fan in the world that turn their nose up at winning the Europa League.
No chance.
So be competitive in the Champions League, get access to the Champions League. If you need to drop down into the Europa League, then it's not ideal. But I tell you what an opportunity it is, because Scottish clubs don't win European trophies. I don't know if anybody's noticed, but it hasn't happened in a long time.
It's been a while.
So see the next guy that wins a European trophy with a Scottish club, legendary status.
Aye, instantly. And Mo says some board members don't want Brendan there. I have no idea if that's true, obviously. Celtic, Big Rab says Celtic haven't had any cash yet. If Rodgers has made plans to stay, Dermot Desmond will give him the cash to spend. William says, interesting to note that the big money signings by Brendan that he demanded don't look like any of them will be in his first 11. And this one from Mark. Great result.
That is an interesting point.
That is quite interesting, eh?
That is an interesting point.
Well, is that... Say Celtic were playing a cup final tomorrow. Do you not think either would start as the main striker?
Well,
right now, I guess.
Right now, yeah, he probably
because
would.
They've not got.
But Brendan Rodgers wants, and he said it. He said it openly. He wants to buy a sort of marquee top end striker.
Aye.
So in that case, no, Adam Eder doesn't. He's signed Nygren. Does that push Engels out of his starting 11? If Nygren is as good as people seem to be getting really excited about this guy, I've not seen him.
He did look good last night, I thought.
Right, so then you've got Hatate and Callum McGregor.
Aye.
And right now, towards the end of last season, Trusty couldn't get a game.
It wouldn't be Hatate or McGregor dropping out, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Mark says, great result against Lisbon. Why is nobody talking about the glaring need for a right winger? It's so draining to go through this drawn-out transfer window every year.
We've said it. You've obviously not been on. We've been saying for weeks now, Celtic are crying out, and Brendan Rodgers will be demanding two wingers of similar quality to the ones that he's lost in Jota, who won't be kicking a ball this side of the new year. And Kuhn, who's obviously away at a vast profit, and Brendan Rodgers has every right to make serious demands of the board on that front. He needs two real high quality, similar level wingers, so that if Brendan Rodgers is left with the feeling that he's going back the way and his team is in regression, then that's not going to be a happy relationship. He needs to be given the tools to say, right, here's how we go to the next level, and that involves 100% getting two wingers of starting quality.
Well, he said last night that Shin Yamada is obviously on the way. We talked about that in last night's show. He did describe him as a club signing again. So, I mean, that would lead you to believe...
You can tell by the quote. I mean, this is where... And it was one of the comments that started this conversation was a little bit about his body language, or the way that he's coming across right now. And I see it as well, and I've seen it because there is a little bit of history repeating, or it can feel like that. It could be that you're reading too much into it, but I'm looking at some of the quotes that are coming out about these guys, about Inamura probably get sent away on loan.
Aye.
We're going to, and again, the striker that's coming in. But yeah, well, look, it's our job. We've agreed to assess the player. The scouts seem excited about it. He couldn't be putting further distance between himself and these signings if he was shouting from one end of a pitch with a megaphone to the assembled media at the other end of the field. He is putting so much distance between himself and these signings. He's making it so clear and so obvious to everybody that's watching that this has nothing to do with me, guys. Mm-hmm. And that's a worry because I've seen it before. And it doesn't end well.
I mean, I like we mentioned, I completely agree that I think they will spend significantly between now and the end of the transfer window. But do you not feel there's so many positions now? It's hard to see them.
Do you know what worries me?
Hard to see them getting everything done that Rodgers wants.
Do you know what's worried me? Hasn't worried me up until this point, but it's starting to kind of eat away at you. You're looking, going, well, if you're Brendan Rodgers, and I always try to think logically, and always, because Brendan Rodgers is a deep thinker, he never says anything without thinking about it, right? Words don't kind of jump out of his mouth unless they've been vetted, processed, and ticked off, right? Everything is said for a reason. If I'm Brendan Rodgers and that's the way that I conduct myself, I don't think I'd need to be putting so much distance between myself and the signings that have been made this summer, because I'm perfectly relaxed, because I know what's happening on the other side. I know that before the end of the window, I'm getting my way, and I probably know exactly who the players are that I'm going to be bringing in, and I'm delighted about it. Mm-hmm. So I actually don't need to publicly sort of
I see what you mean,
seem to be manoeuvring myself away from any responsibility for what's going on in this transfer market, because I'm already quite happy, because I know how it looks from here. Mm-hmm. So that is why I'm starting to wonder, were we wrong? Have we been wrong to sit here and just assume that he'll get his way and that there will be a 2-tier signing strategy? What if it's a 1-tier?
Time will tell.
One size won't fit all in this one.
Aye. Last little bit of Celtic news: Lewis Palmer apparently going to Lech Poznan. I've always been a bit miffed by Lewis Palmer. I thought he was really good. Scored against Feyenoord, Lazio and Atletico Madrid in the Champions League. He
did have, funnily enough, some okay performances in the Champions League.
He's not got much pace,
which is a problem for a winger.
I get that, but I thought he was a good player. But it looks like he's going on loan to Lech Poznan.
It's just another one. I mean, you could actually, you would see, if you got a list, a pen and paper, you could probably put a list together about 52 wingers that have come and gone out of Celtic over the last 10 years.
I know.
And you'd probably only remember half of them.
If that,
aye. Names that have just come and gone and really haven't made much of an impact either way.
Aye. We should move on to Rangers. A lot of people asking us about Conor Coady after last night. Mm-hmm. Gianni asks if we think it's a done deal. Is Andy Newport at Glasgow Central waiting for his arrival with a chicken royale meal? We cannot confirm or deny that. But, I mean, we're getting a bit of stick as well.
Andy likes a signing.
He does like a signing now. We're getting a bit of stick as well about Conor Coady, because last night we obviously went live. So
our investigating skills might have come up a little bit short.
We might have been caught out last night. There's a few people, I'm trying to find the comments now, but a few people picking us up on that. DP here saying, please tell me Keith addressed the Conor Coady stuff from yesterday. Obviously, me as well. Looking at the pictures, we couldn't see Conor Coady, and it was when we were online last night live, people texting going, "Aye, actually he's there."
Well, it wasn't that. I saw a photograph, which I don't know where it's still. And that one there, that exact one, that I didn't see that. Maybe that is. Maybe it's a grab off the video that I did see. But that guy with the hat was so quick out of that shot that I didn't see him.
I mean, I think that is Coady, but it's not.
Oh, that is Conor Coady.
I know, but you could be forgiven for going, I don't know.
Yeah, well, look, do you know what? We went on what we could go on. As I said last night, and I stressed the point, the most important, the most significant part of that last night's information wasn't, and I did say repeatedly, you can't tell unless you're at the airport and you're counting them on and off the plane, if he's there, if he's not there. So we're speculation, we're looking at videos, and he doesn't appear to be there. We're not saying he's definitely not there. The important information last night is that Leicester City have been in talks with the guy that they consider to be his replacement. Mm-hmm. That's the really important thing, because it indicates that this is getting to a point now where Leicester are already preparing for life without Conor Coady, albeit he's at the training camp just now. But this very much feels to me, and as I've said for a while, the delay has been at Leicester's end. Conor Coady wants to go to Rangers. Rangers want Conor Coady to go to them. And when you're getting to the point where Leicester are engaged in discussions with a fairly prominent, by the way, very experienced English centre-half who has been kicking about and not in a low-profile way in England's Premier League for a number of years, then there's more than a bit of substance to it. Now, I think Conor Coady would have preferred to have been allowed to go up to Glasgow rather than head to Austria. I think they arrived in Graz, actually, yesterday. I'm sure that he would have, in an ideal world, been given permission instead to leave camp, to go up to Glasgow, to get this signed, because obviously by, I don't know what time it is tonight, is it maybe 11 p.m. British time, I'm not sure. Rangers have to register the squad for the first round of qualifiers for the Champions League against Panathinkaikos. And the information we had shortly before coming on show, Daniel, was that Rangers do not anticipate any announcements and signing announcements between now and then. So it looks as if it's all quiet, and it's going to be all quiet for the next few hours. Now that I've said that, obviously they'll probably sign about 5 players.
Breaking no.
But that's the word that we were getting just a couple of minutes before coming on here.
Yeah.
So Conor Coady, it would leave Rangers now with an opportunity to hurry. At the 11th hour, you get special mitigation to sign 2 players up until 24 hours ahead of kick-off. So Monday night, 7:45, Rangers could still add 2 more players to the squad.
See, even on that though, our esteemed colleague Gavin Berry from Record Sport, he was talking to me earlier, and I said, I think, he can be a wild card signing. But as he pointed out, he's not played any, would he even play in these games against Panathinaikos? He's not played any pre-season games.
Well, he has.
Has he played
Coady,
Has he? Okay.
He actually asked Leicester. Leicester have been aware of what's going on, right?
Aye.
And Conor Coady asked Leicester, according to my sources, to be given game time,
right, in
order to make sure that he's as fit and ready as he possibly can be. And he's a guy that I think Russell Martin would trust to put in, even in a situation like this. And you've got to remember, what are the options?
Aye.
Now, John Souttar, does he fancy John Souttar? He inherited John Souttar, and his first meeting with John Souttar was to find out that John Souttar had delayed his hernia op. I don't think that pleased Russell Martin. He's then brought in a couple of younger signings, guys that, one from Peterborough and one who didn't hardly get much football at Wolves, and Nasser Giga. So
you'd want Coady.
So you look at it. I think if Russell Martin could get that over the line before Monday night, I think Conor Coady would go straight into the team. Yeah.
Scott in the comments is one of a few people saying, is there a fee for Coady that we know of?
Yes, there will be a fee, because he's got 1 year left in his contract, and basically Leicester have got financial issues which are well known about, and they look as if they're going to get docked 9 points before they've kicked a ball in the Championship this season because of them. They're trying to shuffle things around, and I think if they get a fee, and I think that fee would likely be around about the £2 million mark, if they could get a fee for like that in, they probably might have to pay Conor Coady off, because I can see a differential in the wages that he's earning at the King Power, what he'd likely to be earning at Ibrox. Although that said, when you're relegated from the Premier League, very often your wages are cut in half when you go into the Championship. So maybe the differential between what he would hope to earn at Rangers and what he would earn in the Championship at Leicester might not be that big a gap, but it might still require some sort of financial settlement at the Leicester end. And then Leicester, as we've said, they've got their eyes on a guy that won't involve a transfer fee, who they see as a ready-made replacement, and who some people might even regard as an upgrade. So financially, there's a deal there to be made that makes sense for all parties.
Well, David in the comments saying it's that Rangers can't afford his personal wages, and obviously a few of the guys asking about a fee. But what I'm saying is, as far as we know, the last big stumbling block is Leicester getting a replacement.
Well, Leicester getting a replacement, Leicester have just got a new... Leicester have left everything to the 11th hour this summer.
Of course, I mean, manager.
It was clear at the end of the season that Van Nistelrooy wasn't going to get the job, and yet he was still in the job until quite recently. Don't know why. Leicester are a club that are in a real mess. Their own fans are sick of it. So I think when you're dealing with a club which, you know, the guys are running about with their hair on fire, maybe that's got something to do with delays as well. Maybe they've decided one thing 1 minute and then changed their mind the next. Do I think this deal still happens? Having made a couple of calls and spoken to a couple of people just before we come on air, I was starting to think, I'll be honest with you, I was starting to think, I wonder if this is going cold. I've made a couple of inquiries just before we came on air. People around it still expect it to happen. It just may not happen as quickly as Rangers would have hoped.
Aye. A few other transfer tidbits from Rangers. We've got it on Record Sport Online today that Russell Martin has been linked with another goalkeeper, 19-year-old Pierce Charles, who's at Sheffield Wednesday.
You know how I've got a touch of the dyslexia?
Right.
I first looked at that and thought, they're signing Prince Charles. I thought that'll be quite popular.
Listen, that would be popular, eh? Just get him in to do the pre-match talks and that.
Yeah. Do you know what? It's interesting. The goalkeeping coach that Russell Martin has recently brought into Ibrox, guy that was at Arsenal, he was also at Sheffield Wednesday last season.
Interesting.
He'll know this kid.
Are they singing a lot of Sheffield Wednesday players?
Well, this would be
Gassama.
the second. This would be
Sure,
the second.
aye, they've been linked with a few.
But again, there's Sheffield Wednesday. There's a club that's in financial meltdown.
Aye.
And so there's bargains to be had.
Aye, definitely.
Now, if the goalkeeping coach had turned around to Russell Martin and said, I'm telling you what, see that kid down there? He's a star and you can get him at a knockdown price because of the mess that they're in. It would make a lot of sense. I tell you what wouldn't make a lot of sense. Bringing him in ahead of, where are we now, with 4 days to go before the first leg of a Champions League qualifier, bringing in a 19-year-old kid, telling Jack Butland to sit down, son, and putting a 19-year-old that's only been in the door 2 minutes into that match would make no sense at all.
It'd be very bold.
So, that, you know, but could this kid be one for the future? Everybody that has seen him or knows him or has played with him seems to rave about him. So, it certainly makes sense, but I'm not sure he would be the guy for this season. He might be the guy for 2 seasons down the line. He might be maybe the guy for 6 months down the line.
Aye.
But if you put a kid in, having only just bought him, and he's 19, and you put him into those Champions League qualifiers, and it goes badly, then as a manager, you have made a horrendous start.
Made a rod for your own back.
To trying to win the hearts and minds over of a support, which we're never all that delighted to see you arriving in the first place. So I think that would be an insane gamble.
Mark is one of a few people asking if we've heard anything about Lennon Miller. Rangers tabled a bid on Monday, according to him, and Gianni follows it up by saying, no, he's away to Serie A, Mark. He was on my dad's Jet2 flight this morning. So with sources like that, can't he be wrong?
The omnipresent Gianni. He's everywhere, isn't he? He's maybe his granny's picking him up, and his nonna's picking him up. No, I haven't, and I've said it over and over. I believe the Lennon Miller ship has long since sailed in terms of Celtic or Rangers. I think that the kid has made his mind up where he wants to be. He wants an adventure. He's looked at Scott McTominay, Billy Gilmore, these guys, and I think he fancies a bit of that.
I just think it's so mad.
It is mad.
That both Celtic and Rangers are letting him go.
It is mad.
A player of that quality.
But if you think that's mad, do you want to talk me through Lewis Ferguson?
I know, of course, aye. Aye.
I mean, have you ever seen a more obvious Rangers signing than Lewis Ferguson?
Aye.
And it wasn't made. John McGinn Celtic comes into the exact same category.
Aye.
They weren't made. And then these boys go and they just become out of the price range for either of the old firm clubs. And I'm afraid, I think we're about to see history repeating with Lennon Miller. How many times does it have to happen?
I agree, I just think it'd be crazy to let him go. And Mark's saying it came out on Wednesday about Rangers tabled a bid for Lennon Miller. We had it in the show.
Nobody's confirmed that.
Well, we had it in the show. Scott McDermott, our pal, said they tabled a bid a while ago.
Last summer.
And it'd been automatically
£1 million
kicked out. Aye.
Yeah. Motherwell will hope to achieve somewhere between £4 and £5 million for Lennon Miller in this window, and I don't see Rangers matching that kind of money for Lennon Miller.
No chance. Right, away from the big two, a few other transfer tidbits to touch in on. Friend of the show, Kyle Gunn. He's been in touch, and he's...
Let's hope he's not in charge.
He's told us about Jalmaro Calvin, The Jamaican striker, 21 goals in the Jamaican Premier League last year, is apparently on the brink of signing for St Mirren.
Well, do you know what? I would not doubt Kyle's information. If Kyle's telling us that's happening, and especially at St Mirren, he's the top man.
He's always on the ball.
He's always on it.
Yep.
So if that's what Kyle's hearing, then I think you can take it as read. Take it to the bank.
Elsewhere, Aberdeen have kicked out a £600,000 bid for Shayden Morris from an unnamed English club.
Do you know why I love that?
An unnamed club?
No. I love the fact that Aberdeen, and I think was there not, there's been similar at Hibs with the Australian fullback.
Oh, Lewis Miller.
Hibs are resisting, Aberdeen are resisting. I'm telling you, these guys, these clubs are looking at this, Daniel. I've been saying it for a while now. They're looking at this season and they are ready for it. And do you know what? Times have changed. You're not going to come and take away one of our players for 600 grand. Don't even be ridiculous.
They don't need to. They don't need it.
If you want one of our guys, come, give us a fair fee, but you're not going to nick people off us for 600 grand.
No.
Guys that are actually big contributors to the starting 11 or from the benches. You know, Shayden Morris is one of these guys, seems to be better as a substitute than it is when he starts. But a talented player, you don't come to us with 600 grand. And I love that, because it's about time Scottish football found its bollocks when it came to this sort of stuff, to be perfectly frank.
I always think, see, every time I see him play, and it is a lot, he comes on as a substitute, I think he's brilliant.
He's a game changer.
Really good.
Why would you sell a game changer for 600 grand?
Exactly. The other one is that Aberdeen are trying to get Odi Daba on a permanent transfer. Obviously, he was on loan last season. The other stuff that I want to touch on, Dundee United are close to...
By the way...
close to completing their ninth signing, I know.
You know, I put my hands up. I've been talking particularly about, you know, Hearts with Derek McInnes and Tony Bloom, Hibs making a record signing, Aberdeen going at it, you know, sending out all the right signals. Dundee United quietly have just been going, I'll take you.
Yep.
What's that, 9 signings? 10?
9 apparently. Ivan Dolcek, and again, I'm probably
A defender, isn't he?
mispronouncing his name. I think he's well pleased. Defensive midfielder, Croatian, but he'll be signing number 9 if Jim Goodwin gets him.
Well, look, do you know what I'd say about that? I think that's a lot of changes, and Dundee United actually had a very good season in their first season back up.
You wouldn't have thought they needed that many changes.
I didn't think they were in need of an overhaul.
No.
But what I would say is that Jim Goodwin has shown, and his work last season would indicate, that he knows his markets. He's good in the transfer market. Mm-hmm. I think was it not him that brought Majowski to Aberdeen in the first instance? Was it? Am I right?
I think you're right, aye.
So he knows he's good in these markets.
Yeah, I think you are right, aye.
He's good in these markets. And the players that he brought to United last season were successful. My one concern would be that you start to get like the League of Nations in there, and that you've seen what happened. You know, the criticism that we've been giving Rangers for perhaps losing their identity, and I'd be careful that you don't go too extreme with it. Mm-hmm. But Jim Goodwin has shown that he's got a level of expertise at that end. Kind of guys nobody's ever heard of, from markets that we've never heard of, that don't really cost all that much, but they make an impact. So, again, I've said it, and it's even, I'm hoping this goes well for United, because if we get Dundee United and Aberdeen, Hibs and Hearts, and Rangers and Celtic all going at it in the top 6 next season, we've got a hell of a product, we've got a hell of a league to watch.
It's difficult to see how they could all be on fire, obviously, if they're going to be cutting each other's throats. But it does feel like you look at them all individually, they all seem to be doing brilliant.
All they need to do is swing some punches.
Aye.
Because, you know, what we've seen previously is Hearts have fallen away last season, absolutely terrible, right? Hibs, the start of last season, an absolute joke. Aberdeen started amazingly, became a joke for the next kind of middle part of the season. All we're asking, guys, and I know it's a big ask, but just, you know what? Know what you are. Come into this season with high ambitions, minimum third place. You're all fighting for it. So let's go and let's have a real tear up, and stand your ground and swing and throw your punches. Because if you can do that, whether it's against Celtic, Rangers, whether it's against Aberdeen, Hearts, Hibs, whoever it is, we're going to get some brilliant matches, we're going to get some real excitement, and we're going to get packed stadiums. You know, and Scottish football will be all the healthier for it and more exciting.
AGSC Tech says, agree with Keith, refreshing to see all Scottish clubs hold out for more big fees from the English. We need to fleece them now. Hugh points out that it's Luton bidding for Shaden Morris. And this, I mean, if we end on this, I think we should just wrap the show completely. David Gray saying, Keith Jackson is the main man. Keep it up. That's definitely an inside job.
Just put the phone back in my pocket.
Aye.
Who's that said that?
David.
David who?
That's David Gray.
David Gray sounds as if he knows his stuff.
I think you should
Hibs boss.
go for a wee lie down, David.
Hibs boss.
Aye, Hibs boss. Aye. But I think that brings us to the end of Thursday's. It's Thursday, isn't it? Thursday's Hotline Live with Record Sport. Thank you.
The end of this week's.
Exactly. Thank you so much for all the comments this week. They've been brilliant. The contributions have been. They've been fantastic. I mean, the comments that come in
brilliant
aren't just like, you know, throwaway comments.
Well, that's that. But that, listen, before we go, that is the whole point of Hotline Live. That's why we've called it Hotline Live. Obviously, the Daily Record Hotline was a bit of an institution in the paper and all that. So this is your new, trendy, modern version of it. But it requires the comments. And, you know, the show doesn't work without it. So, yes, thank you.
And it's tough to get through all the comments. Some brilliant comments that I look at. I think I'll say that, and then just the pace of the show.
And there are some right sniders that you almost click on by mistake and get you into trouble.
Aye.
Would actually get us taken off YouTube.
See some of it as well. Some people make brilliant comments, really insightful comments, but their username is just wild.
And we can't use
and
them.
We can't use it. So there's Kyle Gunn says, I'm always in charge, Keith. There you go.
Right, wee man, off to your bed.
We'll be back on Sunday at 6 p.m. If you want to get involved, please come along.
Wee Snyder him. You give him a wee bit of praise and all that. Then the head goes, then he starts getting all cocky.
Exactly, I know. Bye. We'll be back
See
Sunday.
You later, Kyle.
Hope you can join us
See
then.
you later, wee man.
Aye. Thanks for watching.